Imagine a woman like Loretta, 43 years old, Los Angeles, 1963. Printed cotton dress, hat tilted just right, gloves folded in one hand. She is standing outside a church on Crenshaw Boulevard, and the afternoon light is doing something to her skin that no product brochure from that decade would have predicted. No serum, no collagen language, no aesthetic clinic, no 10-step system. One shelf, 3 things on it. The beauty industry did not arrive with better results. It arrived with a problem she did not know she had. These are 9 rules. They moved from her mother's bathroom to her own. Number 2 has nothing to do with her skin. And number 1 is not a product. Number 9, she never put bar soap on her face. The bar soap sat at the edge of the sink. It was for hands. It was for laundry. It was for the body, not the face. Her mother said it once and never explained it further. You just don't. That was the complete sentence. The strange part was not the rule itself. The strange part was what happened to the women around her who did not follow it. Tight skin after washing, a pulled, dry feeling that they moisturized over instead of questioning. Nobody connected those 2 facts out loud. Nobody drew the line between the bar at the sink and the tightness in the mirror. The reason is simple. Bar soap tends to be alkaline, often sitting around pH 9 or 10. Skin prefers something more acidic, closer to pH 4.5 to 5.5. When you wash with something that far outside the skin's natural range, it can disrupt the surface and leave it feeling stripped. Not cleaned. Stripped. There is a difference, and she could feel it even if she never had the vocabulary for it. Today, that vocabulary exists. It is called pH-balanced cleansing, barrier-safe formulas, skin microbiome care. Entire product lines are built on the same rule she received in a single sentence. From her mother at a bathroom sink in a city that never put her face on a magazine cover. She did not know the pH. She knew what tight skin meant. But number 8 is stranger because she did not even use warm water, and that one single habit now has an entire product category attached to it. Number 8. She ran the cold tap before the rest of the world invented toning. Not warm, not lukewarm, cold. The very last thing that happened to her face before she left the house in the morning was the cold tap running, her hands cupped, the shock of it deliberate and unhurried. This came from her mother's mother. No explanation attached. It was one of those rules that arrived without a sentence because the rule itself was considered to be enough. It looked like nothing from the outside. It looked like she just happened to rinse with cold water. But she did it every single morning without negotiation, and if you had watched her long enough, you would have noticed that she always looked less puffy, more set, more finished than the effort seemed to warrant. Cold water may temporarily reduce puffiness and help tighten the look of skin. That is not magic. That is temperature doing exactly what temperature does. The same principle now shows up as ice rollers, facial toning mists, depuffing tools, and refrigerated skincare products with language about vasoconstriction and lymphatic drainage. The market came later. The cold tap was already there. And number 7 was not about what she used. It was about when. Number 7, she oiled her skin before it was fully dry. After the bath, she did not wait. She blotted once with the towel, did not rub, did not air dry, did not wait until the skin was bone dry, and then try to add something back. The oil went on while the skin still held moisture from the water. The window was short, maybe 30 seconds. She watched her mother do it. Nobody explained why. It just became the way a bath ended. The product was cheap. Whatever oil lived in the house. What she was not doing was buying a better oil. She was using the same oil differently. Applying something occlusive on damp skin helps seal in the water that is already there. Wait until the skin is completely dry and there is less moisture to trap. The oil was not the active ingredient. The timing was. That is the thing modern skincare routines keep trying to sell without saying plainly. The timing is the secret, not the bottle. Today this shows up as body oils marketed with lock-in hydration on the label, slugging tutorials, barrier restoration creams, layered hydration systems with step-by-step instructions. All of it is built on the same idea she practiced at a bathroom shelf with whatever was already in the house. They did not improve the rule. They improved the packaging. Number 6 is about something that touched her face every single night for years. It looked like a household preference. It was not a preference. It was a rule. Number 6, cotton was not allowed on her face at night. Her auntie told her. There was no big speech, just, not cotton. And the satin was already there when she moved in because that was just how it was done. From the outside, the satin pillowcase looked like vanity, a woman caring too much about small things, a woman making choices that seemed decorative. It was not vanity. Cotton was not allowed to argue with her face all night. Rougher fabrics create more friction against skin and hair during sleep. Night after night, year after year, that friction adds up against skin, against edges, against everything that needs to stay smooth and undisturbed. Satin reduces that friction. Less disruption to the surface. Less to undo in the morning. Those same silk and satin pillowcases now sell for $80, $100, $150. Anti-frizz bedding. Sleep beauty collections. Whole brands built on the friction reduction principle that her auntie delivered in 2 words. The same rule came back in a frosted pillowcase with a new name and a higher thread count. Number 5 was the habit she did right before she left the house. Took 10 seconds. Nobody in her household called it a treatment. Number 5, she did not leave the house with dry lips. Before the door. Not at the door. Before it. She stood at the small mirror near the entrance and she sealed her lips, petroleum jelly, beeswax, whatever was small and in reach, and then she left. That was the last step, non-negotiable. Nobody explained it. It was just what the women in the house did. You didn't leave cracked. That was not stated as beauty advice. It was stated the same way you stated that you did not leave without your coat in November. It looked like a cosmetic detail. It was maintenance. She was not chasing something. She was preventing a small problem from becoming a larger one before anyone could see it start. Petroleum jelly and beeswax can help form a barrier on the lips that reduces moisture loss and helps prevent cracking. That is what a lip mask is. That is what an overnight lip treatment is. The same thing, in prettier containers at $30 to $50 per tube. Korean beauty lip sleeping masks. Glossy lip care routines. What used to happen at a door mirror with something that cost almost nothing at a drugstore counter is now a whole category with its own editorial coverage. Nobody called it a lip treatment. She just did not leave the house cracked. And number 4 looked like fashion. It was not fashion. It was the most elegant form of sun protection ever invented, and she wore it every Sunday. Number 4. Her church hat was not just fashion. Sunday morning. Church steps. Direct afternoon sun. In photographs from that era, the hats are impossible to miss. Wide brims, structured crowns, tilted with intention. Every woman who understood the culture wore one. It looked like elegance. It was doing something else. Nobody used the words sun protection. Nobody had the language of photoaging or UV exposure in the way those words exist now. But the shade was free, and the hat made it look intentional. The gloves covered the hands. The sleeves covered the arms. She was not in the midday sun unprotected, because she happened to also look magnificent. Hats and shade reduce UV exposure to the face, neck, and hands. Sun exposure over time contributes to the changes in skin that modern beauty now markets entire product lines around preventing. The hat was doing exactly what UPF clothing, SPF routines, and anti-aging prevention products now promise to do, and it was doing it while also being the most striking thing in the room. The shade was free. The hat made it look intentional. Number 3 came in a jar that had no label, no campaign, and no apology. And now it has all 3. Number 3, the castor oil never needed a rebrand. A small, dark bottle. An old toothbrush or a fingertip for the edges. Weekly, not daily. Patient. The kind of thing that was in the bathroom cabinet the way coffee was in the kitchen. It was just there, always there, because it was always needed. It came from a grandmother, from a sister. Sometimes it was bought at a drugstore for almost nothing. Sometimes it arrived without a particular occasion, placed on a shelf because the shelf was where it belonged. It looked too simple. Too obvious, too old. And the industry assumed that something so plain, so cheap, so already known, would never move through a modern market. They were wrong. Castor oil is a thick, heavy oil that can condition and add shine to hair and skin. On edges and brows and dry spots, used with consistency and patience, it may support their appearance over time. Its weight makes it effective as a sealant. There is no miracle in it. There is just repetition and the willingness to stay with something that works. Now there are scalp serums, edge control products, brow growth treatments, and hair oils, many of them listing castor oil as the hero ingredient, the discovery, the breakthrough, the thing someone found. The ingredient has not changed. Only the jar has. Every few years, a brand rediscovers what was already in the cabinet. But number 2 is different. It was not just a product. It was a jar that came through the mail from a sister in another city, and it smelled like a decision. Number 2. The jar of raw shea butter came with no label and no apology. Plain jar. No brand, no whipped texture, no added fragrance designed to make it smell like something it was not. It arrived because a sister in another city had a source, or a cousin brought it, or an auntie passed it along through someone who was already traveling. Nobody bought it at a beauty counter. It moved the way useful things used to move through women who knew each other across distances without marketing. She used it on her face, on her hands, on her body, wherever the skin needed it. She opened the jar, and the smell told her immediately that this had not been turned into a fantasy yet. That was before the stories got attached to it, before it became a luxury, before anyone flew to West Africa for a documentary and called it a discovery. Shea butter is rich and occlusive. It helps soften the skin, helps moisturize, and supports the skin's surface over time. The fatty acids in it do what fatty acids do: seal, condition, protect. Raw shea butter is the same substance that now anchors products from $8 drugstore lotions to $90 luxury creams. The same. Not similar. The same. Now it comes labeled as African shea butter, as if the origin is a selling point that someone else discovered and is generously sharing back. The smell told her it had not been turned into a fantasy yet. And number 1 was not on her shelf at all. It was not a product. It was the belief she started from, and it is the reason the whole photograph makes sense. Number 1. She never agreed that she was broken. Go back to the shelf. 3 things. The shelf is not small because she could not afford more. The shelf is small because she did not need more. She was not building a routine around a problem. There was no problem. There was maintenance. There was care. There was the discipline of keeping something already valuable in order. The modern beauty industry's most essential move is to create the problem before offering the solution. You are dry, you are aging. You are too dark, too textured, too natural, too plain, too imperfect, too much of something or not enough of something else. The doubt arrives first, packaged as concern. Then comes the product to address it. She did not receive the problem as truth. That was not naivety. It was a position. It was a posture that moved quietly through Black women's beauty culture in the 1950s and 1960s. Not always spoken out loud, not always named, but present in how women carried themselves in the cold tap, in the satin, in the hat, in the jar that came through the mail, in the fact that the shelf had 3 things on it and that was enough. When you begin from "I am fine" and "I am maintaining what already works," you make different choices. You trust what is in the cabinet. You do not chase a moving target because the target keeps moving on purpose. Every single item in this countdown, the cold tap, the damp skin oil, the satin, the church hat, the castor oil, the raw shea butter, those were not isolated tricks. They were the downstream results of one upstream belief. She was not broken. She was not a problem to be solved. She was already worth caring for. She did not buy the product. She did not buy the premise. Here is where the photograph brings you back. Same afternoon light, same church steps, same woman. But now you see the shelf differently. 3 things. Not because she had less. Because she needed less. She already knew. Somewhere right now, a granddaughter is ordering raw shea butter online. It arrives in a clean white jar with a printed label and a higher price. She opens it and thinks she found something. She did not find it. She remembered it. The shelf is the same shelf. The rule is the same rule. The only thing that changed is how much someone charged her for the jar. Pick one rule from this list. Put it back on your shelf. Try it for 1 week. Then come back and tell me what changed.